So people wait for you for me.
Oh, nice.
But you let me know when you're ready, man. Okay. Georgia Tech head coach Brent Key will go ahead and open up with remarks from Coach Key before we take questions. So, Coach.
Yeah, I was proud of the guys for the game last Saturday. Obviously proud of the outcome, the way they played, overcame a lot of adversity in the game, and even before the game, and we're able to play a full 60 minutes, which is what we ask our guys to do, is to play full 60 minutes regardless of the score, and focus on just playing the next play, one play at a time, and see what happens at the end of the game. And they did that. I think they really rallied together as a team. Even when bad things happened, to show the resolve that they did and continue to fight and play and make plays. It was really good to watch, and it was exciting for them. But no different than the week before. We get back in on Sunday and correct what we have to correct. Enjoy it, and then have to move on and get ready to play a really good Miami football team. It was a little bit earlier game, so you got maybe a couple more hours to enjoy it, but it's on to the next one right now, and that's what we're looking at. And proud of those guys, the way they fought, though, and we have to carry that over to this week. We can't have we can't have any sort of a mental hangover from last week's game moving into this Miami game. We've got to get right to work, which we have. I can't say it enough. They're a really good, really talented football team, and right now the most important thing for us is really our mental preparation. This time of year everyone's banged up. So everyone gets sick or banged up and has accumulated reps on their bodies. It's about how you can carry your mental intensity throughout the day, throughout a 2-hour practice, to stay locked in and focused. And then when it's time to do the whether it's good on good or the physical part, to be able to ramp it back up and understand that and not take time off. You look in the NFL, professional football, that's how they have to practice. They have a limited number of bodies, and then they're practice squad players, and they have to be smart in the way they practice throughout the week. I mean, and that's a lot longer season than it's played in college, and that's in a lot of ways what we're asking our guys to do. And the difference is these guys they're not professionals, they're college kids, and I told them the advantage they have is that they're Georgia Tech college kids, though. So they've got to be able to use that advantage that they have as to the mental part of it and the mental intensity they have to carry, and then the mental toughness that it takes to be able to flip the switch in from one part of the practice to another part of practice, whether it be a full, all-out, good-on-good, thudded up, or it's a early in practice walkthrough mental part. So we have to be able to do that throughout the week. I thought they did a good job of that last week, and be able to get to Saturday and play as fast and fresh as we possibly can.
Okay. We'll take questions. Go. You want to start?
Obviously, you guys had the flu bug go through your team, and obviously some injuries as well. I was wondering if you had an update on like Pierce or Dylan, and then also, guys, how's the flu situation with the team now?
Hopefully, it flew away. I mean, that's what it is this time of year, and there's a lot of vitamin C, a lot of B12 vitamins, and hand sanitizer, and back to people wearing face masks and being careful and trying to be as careful as we can with it. But majority of the guys that were sick last week are better now. You expect this time of year, probably for the next couple of weeks, there's going to be people pop up and get sick. So when that happens, we got to be able to adjust and practice and move forward. Pierce was back out today. Paula was back out today. Dylan was back out there today. Jeff was out there again today. So those guys, the guys that are back healthy, we've got to keep them healthy, and then kind of really mitigate the ones that are continuing to get sick and will be back tomorrow, or we're back today but still stomachs hurting and all that. So it's what you have to deal with right now this time of year, and I think our guys have done a really good job of showing the and it's mental toughness too, to be able to have something affect you, whether it's a day before a game, 2 days before a game, or an hour before a game, and a starter goes out or a starter can't play, and be able to rally around whoever's in there and really just continue to play the game one play at a time, and be able to reach your end goal when the game's over.
Rod?
Talking about the offensive line, you were sort of limited with some of those guys being out last week, and we got to see a lot of Ja'Kai. After watching the film, what did you see from him? And is he a guy we can maybe see more of moving forward?
Yeah, I think you definitely will. That's what we're trying to do, is get the best five on the field at all times. And for Ja'Kai went in there, and he's young and still has a lot of development in him. But he plays hard. He plays really hard. He practices hard. He's got physical and mental toughness in him. And now he's really starting to figure the game out. He's starting to understand things. If he makes a mistake, he understands what that mistake is, and he can come to the sideline and he can tell you, hey, I did this, or I need to do this. And then when you make the correction, he can understand it and take it into the game. But what he's done a good job of is something that's really hard for younger players, and that's when you do have a bad play, to put that play behind you and not be thinking about it the next time up, or the next series, the next third down, but just get it corrected and move on. And he's shown the ability to do that, which I'm proud of.
Okay.
When Jeff Sims is able to come back, I'm curious, is the way that Zach has played, does that give you a different look on we need to make sure that they're both playing?
At the same time?
Not on the field this time, but yes, maybe alternating snaps.
Well, we're working both of them on the field at the same time right now.
Okay.
It gives us some things that Nate has done with trying to some of the reverse passes, but now we can have the different ones in different spots, and they're both good athletes, and they can do the around motions and the fast motions and be able to throw the thing back. And I mean, really, as you're saying it now, you could start to have some double passes. Hand it off, pass back to him, pass back to him. So, true razzle-dazzle football, I guess. But, it's like good game planning right now. It's like those kickoffs. No, yeah, it's the game's like it's the last play of the game. They throw the razzle-dazzle all around the field, and all of a sudden it breaks. Everybody's over here, and it goes down the field and scores. Was it the Stanford Cal game back in the early '80s or whatnot? No, but first we got to see if Jeff if he'll be able to play. He's practicing. He practiced today, same as he did last week. But we'll be able to make that decision when it gets closer to game time to see if he will have the ability to play a full football game.
Patrick.
Coach Key, a similar question with respect to your running backs. It's one position on your depth chart you haven't had 2 or 3 listed as co-starters, and Dante got the bulk of the yardage last week, and same number of carries as Hassan. Is that something you decide game to game or inside the game, or is it about health, or how do you make that choice?
Well, with all things being equal, if all are healthy, yes, we determine that before the game. And in the last really five weeks or 5 games, we've put a big emphasis on that. Hey, this series is this guy's series. Hey, this series is this guy's series. This is this guy's series. And we're going to rotate to this point, or this guy has specialty plays in as the game goes on. So, being very detailed of who's going in, when's going in, when they're going in, and then how we're playing them. And then at some point in the game, whether it be sometimes it's the first quarter, sometimes it's the third quarter, you make the decision of who's got the hot hand and who's doing the best job in protection, which then you factor in obviously injuries, people banged up, because that is the one position that probably gets banged up the most throughout a week or throughout a game. So. But no, we script it out, and we're very detailed on who's going in at what times. And the last few games it's worked out. And then I can't say all those guys they're all for each other. Of course, they all want the ball. They understand there's only one ball, and they've done a good job when they've got a chance to put the hands on it and get the yardage that's there. I thought they made a lot of improvement last week, especially versus a team that we knew was going to be doing a lot of blitzing and slanting and angling, and understanding where those cuts were going to be, where the protection pickups were. So those guys did a nice job last week of the things we asked them to do, and the things we challenged them with last week, coming from the previous games.
I was curious about red zone offense. Obviously, it's not been as productive in terms of touchdowns as you would like. Is there anything in particular that you guys are seeing, maybe where the breakdowns are happening, or missing things, or types of calls even down there that you guys have to evaluate?
It's the easy thing to say, oh, well, the game's over, and well, why'd you make that call? I would have made that call. I mean, you can't live in a world like that. That's not fair to anyone involved. The thing we do is we look and say, okay, what has to be better this week? Why did we stall out here? what was the deficiency within the play that occurred, and then you look at it over the course of the last 3-4 games and say, which ones are coming up the most, which ones are the common occurrences. All right. Well, now number one, either you fix it or you change it, or two, you change it, and that's really the options. So that's where you have to really look at it and say, okay, now this is who we're going to be, this is what we're going to do, this is the plan once we get down there, and this afternoon is be third down and red zone game plan day. Tomorrow, third down red zone out at practice, and you can bet we're doing a really good job of putting a plan together. So when it gets down there, we're getting 7 instead of at least in the position to get 7 instead of 3.
Reggie, back here.
Coach, last home game of the year, I mean, just having that extra home field advantage. We've seen throughout college football what kind of impact it has on these games. Does that bring some extra juice maybe to your guys, maybe to these fans to have the final game here?
Yeah, it does. Anytime you're able to play at home, it's an advantage. I mean, it's the travel, it's the time on your body, whether it be cramped up in a plane or in a hotel room. I mean, those are the advantages. That's why it's a home field advantage. Then on top of that, with your fans and the student section and the band and all those things, it's a huge advantage. It is. Now, at the same time, it's senior day. We have seniors that are going out and playing their last game at Bobby Dodd, so that's a special day for them. And you want to go out and play your best for them. You want to coach your best during the week for them. But you also have to understand that's something that it's only going to last so long in the game. It's like a great pep talk before the game. I mean, after the first hit, it's really over. So it's what you've done to sustain that through the week. That's really going to be the difference in the outcome of the football game.
Right.
You talked earlier about learning from your mistakes, putting plays behind you. Is that one of the qualities that you feel like Zach has, the ability to do that?
Yeah, and to put a play behind you is one thing, but to really be able to learn from that mistake, that's the bigger picture. And to be a kid that young, to be able to learn from those mistakes, he's very mature past his age. I will say that in those things. And just when he comes to the sideline and being able to say, "Oh my gosh, I knew as this was happening, that was going to happen. It won't happen again." And just the anticipation of things out there. You see it just, I mean, even over the course of the game, you saw it. And yeah, he does a fantastic job of that. But a lot of those things that's who he is. That's what he's done since he was in 9th grade in high school and 10th grade in high school. So it's not like it's something that just happened overnight. Now the development and learning of the offense and the speed of the game, those things take time once you get to college. But a lot of those things are innate, and he has them.
We'll wrap up. We'll take Ken and then Kelly and wrap up.
The punt cover team obviously had some challenges. Do you look at changing?
Obviously.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious.
Being delicate. Is that a matter of scheme, or like obviously you have the 3 guys that you're doing a very good block keeping punts from getting blocked, but
yeah.
Covering is another matter, obviously.
Yeah, it's you hate to sit up here and say it's a work in progress, but David's kicking the crap out of the ball. He really is, and putting I think he averaged 48, 49 yards a kick last week. So he's putting the ball out there. Well, you've got the wall behind that is probably half of the protection, you would say. Well, then the other 6 or 7 guys with the snapper are involved in the coverage. Well, there's 2 in the front. The snapper really doesn't count. He's on the ball. And you have 2 in the front, 2 in the side, 2 in the back, to spread the net, so you would say. And if one of those guys gets out of lane, or one of those guys gets, loses leverage on the football, you've got to have overlap in it. Because it's going to happen. I mean, their coach, they have coaches too. They're going to, scheme and coach. Well, there's overlap in it. And the frustrating thing that happened is when you watch the one that was returned for a touchdown, and you watch the one that was, I think it was a 20-yard gain, the one, I think it was before it, and I can't even remember about it, but you would say, okay, first thing, well, there's a lack of effort. Somebody's loafing. But when you look at it, actually it was the exact opposite. The guys were running, they ran so fast down the field. Now when that guy catches the ball, they've got to settle up, right, and keep the thing in front of them. Well, everyone went to go take their shot and ran past. So now you've got 4 of the 6 guys all the way going down the field. Well, they've run past him. Now it's just one person that he has to make miss. And now it's back on the wall to make the saving tackle. So, you know, the over pursuing of it was a big problem. So we've spent, you know, from Sunday, you know, a lot of time on Sunday, a lot of time out there today of just getting back to understanding the, you know, of keeping the leverage on the football once it happens, and being able to judge when that thing's coming down, when he's about to catch it, that we're not continuing to run past him. And so we've made a lot of improvement in it today, and we'll continue to stress it and work on it.
Obviously, the oddity of the schedule this year will be senior night in the stadium and a final home game this year. Just kind of how do you approach that with the seniors and talking about playing the last game and Bobby Dodd and kind of your emotions too as coach going into it?
Oh gosh, I mean, my emotions are no different than they are. There's nothing emotional. It's all trying to give these guys the best ability to win a football game. And the kids, it's that's the part that becomes emotional. But what's the number one thing we talk about in football? You can't be an emotional player. You can't play with emotion. You know, you've got to have energy over emotion. And when you play emotional, bad things happen. And one of the big points of emphasis last week with the entire team was execution over emotion. So they did that. They went out and they executed last week. Well, now just take a time that's a very, very special time in their lives. And as we get older, we're all we're kind of emotional about things like that. I can tell you firsthand, when I was out there, all I wanted to do is get back in the locker room with my guys and get ready to play a football game. Now, our parents, that's a different story. Now, our parents, that is an emotional time for them. Let them carry the emotion. But our guys, they've got to go out there, you know, take the picture, you know, give their mom and dads a hug and get back in and ready to play a football game. Because if they really want to remember senior day, let's go win the game. That's the best memory of a senior day.
We'll wrap up with that, Coach. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You didn't even need your super awesome paper.
Yeah, wind wasn't blowing. One back.
If I'd left that down in my office, I guarantee you.
Wonder what it was. It's pretty good.
It's a commemorative coin from the 100th year of Grant Field. That's took the